stop everything. If you don't know the next 5 things I'm about to show you, you could lose a huge chunk of your life savings. By the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step plan to protect everything you've worked for. Thing number 3 alone could save you more money than most people make in a year.
Section 1. Create your financial paper trail now.
Before you even think about filing, you need to become a financial detective in your own home. Most people make the fatal mistake of assuming their spouse will play fair during divorce proceedings. They won't. The moment divorce papers are filed, people change. Bank accounts get emptied, assets disappear, and suddenly that joint savings account you both contributed to becomes impossible to trace. Here's exactly what you need to do starting today. Print out 3 years of bank statements from every account you know about. This includes checking, savings, money market accounts, and any business accounts. Take photos of investment portfolios, retirement account statements, and any cryptocurrency holdings. Don't forget about that PayPal account or Venmo transaction history. Document everything with timestamps and store copies somewhere your spouse can't access them. But here's the part most people miss. You need to track the daily balances, not just the monthly statements. Why? Because if your spouse starts moving money around, you'll have proof of exactly when and how much disappeared. This paper trail becomes your evidence if they try to hide assets later. And trust me, they will try.
Section 2. The secret account strategy.
Now comes the part that feels uncomfortable but could save your financial future. You need to establish your own financial independence before your spouse knows what's coming. This isn't about hiding money illegally. It's about protecting yourself legally. Open a checking account at a completely different bank than where you currently do business. Use your maiden name or middle name if possible. Start direct depositing a small portion of your paycheck into this account. Something small enough that it won't be noticed immediately. Even $50 a week adds up to over $2,500 in a year. Next, apply for a credit card in your name only. If you've been relying on joint accounts or cards where your spouse is the primary holder, you might not have any credit history of your own. This becomes a nightmare when you're trying to rent an apartment or get a car loan after divorce. Build this credit now while you still have stable income and housing. The emergency fund you're building isn't just for after the divorce, it's for during the process. Legal fees, temporary housing, moving expenses, they all add up fast. Having $5,000 to $10,000 set aside gives you options and prevents you from making desperate decisions just because you're broke.
Section 3. Choose your battle. Mediation versus court.
This is where most people either save a fortune or lose everything. And it all comes down to one decision. Do you go to court or try mediation first? The financial difference is staggering, but more importantly, the outcome can be completely different. Mediation typically costs between $5,000 and $15,000 total for both parties. A contested court divorce, you're looking at $15,000 to $30,000 each, sometimes more. But here's what they don't tell you about mediation. It only works if both parties are willing to be honest about their finances and reasonable about the outcome. If your spouse is hiding assets, manipulating income, or being completely unreasonable about custody, mediation becomes a waste of time and money. Here's how to know which path to take. If you can sit down with your spouse and have a civil conversation about money and kids, mediation might work. If every financial discussion turns into a screaming match, or if you suspect they're not being truthful about income or assets, go straight to court. Don't waste months in mediation when you know it won't work. The key is controlling what you can control. Come to mediation with all your documentation organized, your priorities clear, and realistic expectations about the outcome. The couples who succeed in mediation are the ones who treat it like a business transaction, not an emotional battleground.
Section 4. The document gathering checklist.
Most people think gathering documents means grabbing last year's tax return and calling it good. That's how you lose thousands of dollars in a settlement. You need to be methodical about this, and you need to do it before your spouse knows you're serious about divorce. Start with tax returns for the last 3 years, not just the summary page, but every form and schedule. These documents show income patterns, business deductions, and asset information your spouse might try to hide later. Next, gather pay stubs for both of you, going back at least 6 months. Look for overtime patterns, bonuses, or irregular income that might not show up on tax returns. Investment accounts are tricky because the values change daily, but you need statements showing the balance on a specific date, preferably the same date for all accounts. Take screenshots of online accounts and save them with the date visible. Retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs need special attention because dividing them requires specific legal documents, and the fees for doing this wrong are expensive. Don't forget about debts. Credit card statements, car loans, mortgages, student loans, any money owed to family members, it all needs to be documented. The goal is creating a complete financial picture so there are no surprises during negotiations. Property deeds, car titles, insurance policies, they're all part of your financial inventory. Store copies of everything in a safe deposit box or with a trusted family member. When things get contentious, important documents have a way of disappearing.
Section 5. Protect your kids and your wallet.
Child custody and support decisions affect your finances for years, sometimes decades. Making emotional decisions about your kids during divorce proceedings can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over time. But being too focused on money can damage your relationship with your kids forever. Here's the financial reality nobody talks about. The parent with primary custody usually gets the child tax deductions, the right to claim head of household status, and typically pays less in taxes overall. But that same parent also pays for daily expenses like food, clothes, and activities that don't always get reimbursed through child support. Joint custody might seem like the fair solution, but it's often the most expensive for everyone involved. Kids need duplicate everything: 2 bedrooms, 2 sets of clothes, 2 of every school supply. Transportation costs add up when you're constantly driving back and forth for exchanges. The custody arrangement that saves the most money long-term is the one that minimizes conflict and provides stability for your children. Kids who feel secure cost less money. They don't need therapy, they don't act out in expensive ways, and they maintain better relationships with both parents. This means more cooperation on expenses and fewer trips back to court for modifications.
Section 6. The one mistake that costs everything.
Here's the truth divorce attorneys won't tell you, because it's not good for their business. The biggest factor in whether you come out of divorce financially intact isn't how good your lawyer is or how much you know about the law. It's whether you can control your emotions during the process. Every decision made from anger, spite, or revenge costs money. Fighting over the coffee maker, demanding the house just to hurt your ex, refusing reasonable custody arrangements because you're mad. These emotional decisions add up to thousands in legal fees and often result in worse outcomes. The people who do best financially in divorce are the ones who treat it like a business dissolution from day one. They focus on their long-term financial security, not on punishing their ex-spouse. They pick their battles carefully, knowing that every argument costs money and takes time away from rebuilding their lives. But here's the part that might surprise you. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself and your children is to walk away from a fight you could win. If fighting for that extra $500 a month in support is going to cost $10,000 in legal fees and take 2 years to resolve, you're better off spending that time and energy finding ways to increase your own income. Sarah's story didn't end with that devastating settlement. She used these exact strategies when she helped her sister through a divorce 2 years later. Her sister kept the house, got fair support payments, and the whole process took 6 months instead of 2 years. The difference? Preparation, documentation, and emotional control. Your divorce doesn't have to destroy your financial future, but only if you start protecting yourself today. Don't wait until the papers are filed, don't assume your spouse will be fair, and don't let emotions drive expensive decisions. Take control of your financial destiny now, because the person you're protecting isn't just the person you are today, it's the person you're going to be tomorrow. If this video helped you understand what you need to do next, make sure you're subscribed, because next week I'm breaking down exactly how to find hidden assets when your spouse thinks they're being clever. Trust me, you don't want to miss that one.